And welcome to the Daily Space Weather. It's the main feature here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Thanks for tuning in. And we're starting out with 304 angstroms. This is the 48-hour video from the SDO. A power outage has shut down the campus that hosts the SDO data site. So we've got limited data for you here. Still spectacular imagery there of ionized helium. And let's do the rest of the space weather as we do most days. There's actually a flare happening as we make the video, and some higher density solar wind coming in the past about 10 hours. We'll get to it. This is the earthly geospace and the magnetohydrodynamic pressure therein for the past 4 hours. It's the geospace magnetosphere movie showing magnetohydrodynamic pressure. The scale here is nanopascals. Next, ground magnetic perturbations. We've showed Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground, scaled in nanotesla magnetic flux density. This will show you the most likely places on the planet to see induction into power lines, rail lines, pipelines, and the most likely places for aurorae. Those are where the telluric currents can be expected to be flowing in and out of the planet Earth for the last 4 hours. KP index currently at 2. NOAA is forecasting some geomagnetic unrest late in the day on Saturday. But that's about it. Otherwise, NOAA is forecasting calm conditions. So here it looks like we've got some missing data here, but the most current data is showing about 420 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density just under 13 protons per cubic centimeter. It looks like the onset of a fairly weak coronal hole high-speed stream, but we'll have to see how high the speed goes as time passes. So here we're seeing, once again, higher highs and higher lows on the GOES magnetometer, once again as forecasted. And here's how to read the data. It's by looking at the heliospheric current sheet. This is the plasma coming from the sun. It's polarized, and Earth is in a south pole current sheet at the moment. You can see that there in red. North pole current sheet on the opposite side of the sun there in green. Things pretty symmetrical at the moment. Here's our line of sight plot as the sun's solar polar fields reverse throughout solar cycle 25. The sun's B field shown there in blue, that's the field that goes through the magnet, this magnet being the sun. And let's move to coronal holes, as we've got some very well-defined ones. So they are of south pole orientation as well. Quite a lot of coronal holes there in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. We've seen a reduction in solar activity. Radial flux now down to 129 solar flux units. Likelihood of solar flares is still quite high. We'll get to that in a moment after we go to sunspots. There's a great view of coronal holes in 193 angstroms. That's the last 48 hours from the SDO. So here's your flare probability in sunspot groups. For some reason, detected sunspot groups imagery here is not animated once again. However, that is certainly sunspot 3040. It's well defined now. It's only an alpha class sunspot. The most likely place to see major flares would be from this group and these setting groups over here. There actually is a flare happening while we record the video. So we'll get to flares in a minute. First, sunspots. Here's the last 48 hours in 1700 angstroms. And sunspot groups have remained largely stable over the past 24. You can see a little bit of growth in sunspot 3038, I believe is the name of that one. Sunspot 3038. So there's the last 2 days from the SDO. And here you can see this flare occurring as we make the video. Let's look at the 6 hour. Looks like it may be leveling off there at a low-level C-class flare. No relativistic particles showing up there on the GOES proton flux. And let's take a look at a 48-hour video in 94 angstroms. One of the best wavelengths through which to view solar flares. Give that a minute to load. And again, that's the last 48 hours from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. the heck? Looking at old data there? Again, a power outage on the SDO hosting site. Here, I'll show you. There you go. Temporarily unavailable data here as a power outage has closed the Stanford campus. We'll get some more imagery for you here in a minute. First, a star chart. Once again, if you're up before dawn, you'll see this planetary pileup as all the planets gather on one side of the solar system. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Moon, Venus, and Mercury all rising ahead of the Sun. Here's a solar system model. We'll advance this 1 week. Here's where things will be in a week, one day after the new moon. New moon coming in about 6 days on the 29th. So here's our coronagraph imagery. That's from yesterday. And unfortunately, today's link is broken. So we'll just look at all day yesterday's, as we only showed part of this in previous videos. And let's look at the view from Stereo A's coronagraph here on the left, and the Soho Lasco 3's, the Soho Lasco C3's coronagraph here on the right. We do have some of the latest imagery there. That's from 7:38 Universal Time today on the 23rd. Did you know that we regularly stream live to Twitch? It's a fantastic live streaming platform. And so here at the Smash News Network, we stream daily on Twitch. It's just fantastic. And if you've noticed we've picked up the pace today, it's because we are running a little bit late. So take a moment to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks to everybody who has. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. If you want to support the channel, support us by becoming a member of the Smash team at the gold or silver level. You could also pick up merch. Today's featured product is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. It's a public service message brought to you at massive personal risk and expense, so give Smash staff a raise by picking up some merch, such as the Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera products. 54 products available with that high-resolution design. Start a conversation with a track and field team about pole vaulting the Caldera. Consider becoming a patron, perhaps. Visit us on social media. But in any case, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. We've got a little bit more solar imagery for you here to close out today's daily space weather video. You can find links to most of our stuff over at smashomash.com. And here's where we'll close things out with the 131 angstroms view, another great wavelength to view flares. And that is pretty old data there. It is the 23rd today, and I am over that. Hopefully everybody's websites will have returned to normal by tomorrow. And may that solar wind be at your back.